Hey, pues no, pues net, new little video. This one is a video slash response to two videos that I watch, and you'll have the link down. The first one is the Immortal, which was about his beef against preppers, and the video response from Canadian prepper on his thoughts and where we disagree and agree with the Immortal about the prepper movement. And this one's kind of a not so much a video response as in detail as Canadian prepper, but more about that whole notion of prepper and does such thing exist, and should it exist in a certain way, I guess. And where I want to kind of start is one of our heroes and we all try to get to the great MacGyver, where basically with nothing can do everything and get out of pretty much any situation, no matter what it is and stuff. And if you would ask him this question, is he a prepper? I don't think he would respond that there is such a thing as prepper. So it seems like a status that we have created, a box that we have put peoples in. But just as the extremes resemble themselves a lot, I find sometimes things are not so much as a continuum as the right wings and the left wing, but more as a almost like a circle, because a lot of the extreme has a lot of similarities, even if they think differently. They think similarly on other points about how they deliver things. And in what we call preppers, I think a lot of people with this brand or whatever wants to think that they'll be better prepared, and this is why they're prepper, than the people on the other extreme, which do not prepare. But on the same time, I find that where the similarity gets together is that by preparing, you're putting yourself into a category of yourself, and you're kind of limited to your mind and who you are by getting ready to X, Y, or Z, versus, for example, a path of being not a prepper. And I sometimes I kind of come with this idea, and again, down the list of the Canadian prepper and the Immortal, there's also a list of a few videos that kind of go through that concept. But being prepared, it's not so much about something. It's more about an adventure. It's a journey. Is something that it's a quest for improving yourself, a quest to be ready, I guess, to be aware, to live in the communities. And actually a lot of situation where people that call themselves prepper have tendency to withdraw themselves from that community, withdraw themselves from society, see as the others as the enemy, see the other as the bad people, see the others. And so by putting yourself in a category such, you're actually preparing yourself if and you're getting closer to the people that are not prepared, because if it is a black swan, and so if you don't have a preparation, as if you prepare to everything in the events that you had were all white swans, when the black swan presents himself, then you're not prepared, because it didn't follow the rules that you prepared yourself. You didn't let yourself in it. And so by being such a prepper, you're actually create yourself your own limits. You create yourself your own mentality and BAs. And I find a lot of time watching videos on other people, as much as critical of the media and their whole and the conspiracy, I guess, of one government or one big government or this big entity that is trying to lie to us and stuff. At the same time, a lot of people are willing to follow X, Y, or Z without bringing their own critical thinking, without bringing their own personality to the table. Because somebody bought bag X, everybody else is buying bag X. You shouldn't buy X just because, and only that too, but shouldn't be go against the current. So go against the current if just to go against the current. If it's the right thing to do, then you do the right thing. So I don't think it's as a personality trait as, like, being a prepper, being a survivalist, or being a category, as to be yourself, to be a mind. And I'm finding that more as I'm getting more involved now because of my emergency communication things with people here, because we're in earthquake thing, and last week was earthquake week. We did some events and stuff, and talking to people about like having a 72-hour bags and things like that and stuff. And I don't think any of those would call themselves preppers or would be call themselves X or Y or Z, but it's about being aware, being a good citizen, being what, for example, being a citizen. When during the World War II, 8 ways to make your fuel oil last was things that they kind of sent a little bit like that one here. They sent to the people so that they could make their own effort to help as the community. So being a prepper is not so much being a category, not being 1%, not living outside the community, not living, growing whatever, and being that much independent, as finding a ways to live, finding a way to be yourself. A lot of people may think, because I live in a bigger city and I don't have my own house and things like that, oh, you're outside the prepperness and stuff, and you'll most likely die because of whatever event X, Y, and Z and things. And because they're in their mentality of preparedness, and because they have their ratio of whatever and a category, and you have to check all the boxes. But I think to remain flexible, open, becoming a good citizen, what we used to call a good citizen, knowledgeable people that knew what to do when a car broke down, and how to change a tire, and how to change that and stuff. That's all it is, just like when it was in the 1950s, and it was about being a citizen, knowing things so that you can be yourself. But I don't think it's part of a category. I don't think we should try to classify ourselves in X, Y, or Z, because by doing so, we are making ourselves being unflexible, making ourselves respond to white swans when there could be a black swan around the corner. And it brings me to this Fables that in French literature is pretty common, called La Fontaine, which wrote great things about human beings and human nature. And one of them is called The Oak and the Reed, and this is one part of it. So basically, it's a oak tree that says to the reed, "Oh, I'm so strong, and when wind goes, you just bend, even if it's just a little breeze." And the reed says, "Yeah, but don't worry about this." And this is response is, The wind for me are much less dangerous than for you. I bend but do not break. You have resisted the wind, but let's just wait till the end. And at the end, the wind gets bigger and taller and harder and harder and harder, to a point that it becomes like a tornado and takes off the tree. But the reeds survive because it keeps bending and stuff. And this is, I find, a better approach than being in a category of some sort, like a prepper, or to be a survivalist, or to be something, is to be, because we kind of lost this this notion, I think, of citizen. To if you look back into the democracy when it started in Athens, only citizen, so the at the beginning, a citizen would be the one that voted. Granted that it was only, male or a certain thing, and not the slave and all that stuff and everything, and we advance on that. But to be a citizen meant that you were the one making the decision. You were the one that was empowered. You were the one that would do something, but it was for the something and for the group and for the community, and to be a better person. And so I think, in a certain way, what I'm trying to say is that by being a prepper is not so much only about the survival of us. It's not just about being the survival of my family or my own self and stuff. Is to be humanist, to thrive in difficult time, to bend like the reed does when the wind goes. And this doesn't mean that it has to have a Katrina happens, or it doesn't have to mean that the the end of the world has to arrive, or the zombies are running after us. Is that you have to keep a mind open every day, all day, always improving yourself, getting more knowledge, knowing how things works around you, having a few items here and there. Yes, that makes sense, and that quest has helped, but it in a certain way, it's not about being prepared, but it has to be a good citizen. How to be a somebody that is able to helps others in a certain way. But yet, in the community, I find the preppers kind of what a lot of people have the image of prepper or survivalists or others is the opposite. Is to withdraw, is to go live on the land and grow your own stuff and do not talk to anyone and separate yourself and everything. And if everybody would be doing this, then we wouldn't be where we were, because it took us centuries to be where we are, and the reason that we are where we are is because we have a YouTube, because we have like computers and iPhones and all the communication that helps us to have this conversation right now, is because we were on the journey together, because we were human beings that walked the same path, and not because we separated ourselves and confine ourselves and be afraid of the others. Does a prepper, does it exist in its own self? Is that sure? There is categories of people that put things together and stuff, but are they really prepared? I think a lot of time the analogy of the Hulk and Reed is such powerful in this case, because a lot of people that call themselves prepper are hoax, as they're oak trees. But if whatever disaster that they almost wished upon, they'll be the first one to go with the wind instead of bending like other people that may have not have been as prepared mind as they were. And to bring that and to conclude, for example, a good example of this would be when during the 1700, 1800, when we switched from the whale oil to a regular oil or electricity in that during that time, and illuminating, and because for hundreds of years we were depending, and so all industries were working with whale oil. Everything was based on that. Generation of people, maybe people were making, and then this new creation and then this new invention came, this new way of thinking, this new rules, this new map that would be based on us. But the BS of the people that would have been right in the middle of this, I can imagine saying almost what we hear today. There'll be a collapse. There's no way that's going to work. If you close those type of industry, it will collapse and bring the end of the world or something. And yet here we are again, surviving all those hands of the world prediction. And why? Because there was civilians. They were people that stick together and were able to go against, and a lot of people that didn't survive those things and probably like crushed their industries or anything were the ones that refused to go with the flow. People that refused to change their mindset. People that refused to accept the new rules. And new rules doesn't mean that you have to submit to everything that comes, and this is where to be a good citizen, and not only citizen of a country, not citizen of a city, but citizen of the world, citizen of humankind, citizen of something greater than us, I think, of humanity in a certain way, and is to work our way the best that we ever knowledge, and the best of our flaws and the best of our strengths, and to bring our little contribution to something that's been here before us and will be there after us, but bring it as best of a participation that we have to it. But I'm sure that was like a black swan for many people, and no matter how prepared they were and how prepared they were at those days, they didn't see that one coming, and yet the world continued without them, and the world continued after that. And I think in a lot of time the scenarios that we create ourselves and see ourselves in and things is creating our own rules and limits, and we don't know what the future will be. We can postulate, we can imagine, we can have a certain creation, but by creating a certain flexibility in what we think and having a certain confidence, I think we would be much well prepared by preparing our mind, by preparing who we are, by not seeing ourselves as a prepared journey, as things that we need to have inside a bag or something like this, but it has to be us, has to be better, improving ourselves, has to, like I said, to be a citizen, but not citizen of a country or whatever, but citizen of the humankind and the earth that we live on. Anyway, that was my little rant / response to videos, and again there'll be a little bit more about how I think would be a good way to kind of achieve this. But anyway, I'll talk to you soon,